Good morning, beautiful souls. Okay, question. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, oh, there's something bigger, something incredible just waiting for me, but I have no idea how to make it happen? Let me tell you something. You don't need to know the how. The how is none of your business. You just need to show up every single day and believe in yourself like you've never believed in anything before and trust. Then watch the magic unfold. Today, we're going to dive into the magic of consistency, the quiet, powerful force that can transform your wildest dreams into reality. It's not about having the perfect plan or waiting for the stars to align, because that never happens. It's about believing in yourself enough to take that small, imperfect step every single day, even when it feels messy, even when it feels uncertain and you have no idea what the heck you're doing. I want to share a couple of stories that will hopefully inspire you and remind you that anything, and I mean anything, is possible when you combine consistency with belief. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get inspired to start creating the life that you've always dreamed of, the life that you deserve. When I was looking for a new career, I was looking for something new to do. And my friend said, Heather, why don't you try working in the film industry as a grip? And I didn't even know what a grip was. But my girlfriend was an electric, a lamp op. And so she, because the film industry is word of mouth and who you know and all that kind of stuff. And there's a cycle when it gets really busy, they'll hire anybody because they're short on people. And when there's a lot of film shooting. And so she got me onto this movie, which was a local one, which, was super low budget. And I volunteered. So I wasn't getting paid, but they fed me. And I was more than happy to learn a new skill. And the reason that this was a crazy job is because there was no women doing it, not a single one. I was the only woman in this department because it had to do with a whole bunch of heavy lifting and rigging stuff and being really good at solving problems with like MacGyvering stuff and sorting stuff out and making everything work out and just really unorthodox stuff. It was a job description. You're like, what? I'm gonna be rigging a camera to a car. I'm gonna be putting a camera on the roller coaster. I'm gonna put a light on top of that building. I'm gonna make it look like it's night out when it's really day. I'm gonna make the actors look amazing. It's like, what? It was such a cool job. And I had a background, like I studied photography. I took a year of photography in college. And then I also studied CTSR, cinema, television, stage, and radio. So I had worked in television forever. And so I knew my lighting, I knew all of that. So this was a crossover from television into film. And because my girl, Bonnie, shout out to Bon Bon, got my foot in the door, I really learned the ropes and I loved it. And I love working with men. For most of my life, I really found it easier to connect with men just because I grew up as a tomboy and just really athletic, and that was just kind of my vibe. And so I fell in love with this job. I remember going to my dad and saying, Dad, I need you to teach me how to use power tools. I think that was one of the happiest days of his life. He's like, oh my gosh, my little girl wants to use power tools. And so he showed me everything to do. And I learned so much. And I love this job so much because we got to do cool, interesting things. We were doing something different every single day. You have a 40-foot truck And every day you unload the 40-foot truck with all of your equipment and you use it, and then you load it back up at the end of the day. And no 2 days were the same. And these were long hours. It was a 12-hour day minimum. And then overtime was anything after that. And you had to drive to the location and then home. So these were long, long days. And you got fed. So when you showed up on set, they would feed you breakfast. You would just order it from the food truck. And then at lunchtime, they would feed you again. And there was always a fun party at the end of the show. And you just got to be really close with the people that you were working with. Now, grips, kind of like there's a stereotypical grip where they're big and they're gruff and they're mean and they're tough as nails. And then along comes me, and I'm the opposite of that. And it was so wonderful to be a part of that and just find the crew that really, like, you're working with a different crew. Every time you start a show, it's a different crew. So it was just such a unique experience. And I was in film for quite a while, and I started to move up the ladder. And before I knew it, I ended up being the head of the department. So this person is called the key grip. And I was the first female key grip in BC. And it was such an amazing job. And a funny story is the way I got my first opportunity to be a key grip was because, you know, when you work on these movies and you're working with different, the director of photography, the one who is responsible for the overall look of the show, is the one who hires the grip and the electric department. And then the grips and the electrics work hand in hand. They work together because the electrics will set up the light, and then the grips will secure it and diffuse it and color it and shape it and all that kind of stuff. And so it's the director of photography who always hires that crew, so the key grip. So it was my job, like the key grip, you go out and you find jobs for your crew all the time. And before I had become a key grip, one of the director of photographies that I'd worked with before, actually on the free movie that I worked on, he was shooting this small independent movie. And that means that it's an art film and there's not a lot of money. And so you'll be volunteering or being paid very little. So I was being paid very little. But the kicker was, it was a show about lesbians. And so he wanted a female key grip because there were sex scenes, and he thought that it would make the actresses feel more comfortable. And so that's how I got the job. So being a female worked in my favor, and he believed in me and he trusted me. And most directors of photography weren't that open-minded. And once I did that, I did a great job. And so my name got out there. And I started to get more jobs. And then when I get more jobs, I have a crew. So I hire my crew. And I can always take my crew with me, but it was my job to go and find the jobs. And then I had my best boy. And so every time I started a show, I always took my best boy with me, Johnny Ska. I still love that man to this day. The best boy is somebody who has your back. Like, you go out, you go on location scouts, you look at what the scene is going to be and how we're going to have to light it. And then we have to order all the equipment for when we go to that location. And we have to have specialty stuff built and just all of the things. And I got to know what kind of lighting, the director of photography. My job as a key grip was to get inside the director of photography's head and anticipate what they're going to need and try to have it ready before they even asked for it or called for it, because time is money and you don't want to be this whole crew sitting around waiting for your team. And then we would light it up, we would have our time, we would light it up, and then the actors would be at hair and makeup for hours. So trust me, people look good on television and film because we spend hours lighting and hair and makeup. It's not realistic at all. So don't even try for it. You be you, girl. But we would spend all this time, and then I would sit with the director of photography and we'd watch the scene and we'd make some tweaks. And then, so it's just about getting inside somebody's head and then trying to have their back. And that's what Johnny Ska was for me. No matter what, I knew that I could count on him for anything. Having a bad day, need stuff ASAP, having to hire people. And so over the years, I had this crew that I would hire all the time, and we became like family. And we had so much fun. And the reason I'm telling you this story, I did that for probably 10 years. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because most people wouldn't think that was possible for a female to do that job. And it was never a thought in my brain. It was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Bonnie, Bon, my girlfriend, she was an electric. I'm like, she could do it, I could do it. And so I just made it happen. And it wasn't done. It had never been done before. But I believed in myself, and I showed up, and I learned how to fit in, and I learned how to do the job. And I made it happen. I created something out of nothing. It was just by never giving up and always believing in myself. And then another story, just to drive this belief, this idea home for you, is that I had been in the film industry for 10 years, and I was a key grip, and I was looking to get even higher. I wanted to just go further in my career. And then I started having children. And when you have a child, you can't be away from the house for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hours. I didn't want somebody else raising my kids. And so I quit film, because what's the point of having a beautiful baby bringing a human to the world if you're not going to put the time and effort into this amazing miracle? And so I quit film. And then I was like, what am I going to do? So before I quit film, I had another idea. So this was all in the making. Okay, what am I going to do if I quit film? How am I going to create an income? How am I going to support my family? And then I had this other idea. Now, when I was pregnant, I took this class. It was a prenatal exercise class, and I loved it because with my first child, I didn't know what to expect. And because of all the old fallacies, you're like, I should just be sitting down resting because pregnancy is a condition and you got to chill out and take it easy. I'm like, it's not really me. And so I found this woman, shout out to Susie Kerr and Barefoot and Pregnant. I don't know if she's still doing it, but I lived in Kitsilano, and she offered classes for pregnant women to work out. And I mean work out, like sweat, get it all, like a workout like I would do if I wasn't pregnant. And then after, you could go to class and bring your baby and work out, and like a full-on workout, like you're a regular human being, right? And so I went to take these classes because I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my body. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm pregnant, but I got to stay active and keep working out. And these classes changed my life. They were amazing. It felt so good, not only just to sweat and move your body when you're pregnant and after when the baby comes, but to have this group of women who are all in the same boat. So when you have a new baby, you know how hard it is. But if you have this group of fierce warrior women working out with their babies, it's like, oh, this makes it so much easier. And it was life-changing for me. And so when it came time for me to not be in film anymore, I'm like, this is what I want to do, because it changed my life. It was so powerful for me. It was such an amazing experience. And I moved away from that area into another city. So I thought, I'm just going to do that because that is a great idea. And I remember, like, this is a big step because I was making a lot of money in the film industry because you work for, overtime every single day. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm giving that up and I'm starting something new. And I remember thinking, is this going to work? Because the success is based on me. Because I'm not going and, taking a job where I show up every day. It's like I'm creating a business from nothing, and I'm the business. I'm like, oh, can I do this? I remember having that thought, meaning this is driven by me. Can I do this? And I'm going from, remember when I used to say, or the story that I just told you about how it was easy for me to get along with men, but not women. Like, I didn't really try because I just connected so well with men. And now this is all about women. So I'm like, can I do this? And I didn't know anything about personal training. I didn't know anything about the muscles that I was working or anything like that. So I was starting from scratch. But Guess what I did? I took the training and I learned how to do something because I was consistent. I showed up every day and I learned how to work your bicep. I learned what the bicep did. I learned how you burn fat in your body. All of that. I studied it and learned it, and I showed up every single day. And all the way along, I believed in myself. Just like being a grip, having my own business of pre and postnatal fitness, which wasn't around. People weren't doing it. I just knew I could do it. And I started doing a class at the community center, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna create my own studio because I want to create a community. I want everybody to come to this place and know each other and support each other. And that's what happened. I had the best studio ever, and it was the only one for pre and postnatal women, like specializing in that. And we did so many fun things together, and I made so many friends because of it. And so many of the people that came to those classes made best friends with other new moms because power in connection, power in community. I still, that's what I'm building now, is a community, because I know that the world needs more community. And just like when it was hard to be a new mom, it's hard to be a midlife woman. And I'm creating that community in the same style, in the same fashion. It's like, hey, you're going through menopause, come hang out with us because we all are. And we hear you, we see you, we feel you, we got you. So I created this amazing community of new moms. And to this day, I still see them, and they are still friends, best friends with the women, the other moms that they met in those classes. So not only did I create this amazing business for all of these women, but also I created something for myself where I could bring my kids to work with me. I didn't have to have them in daycare or have a babysitter. They were part of the life, and they got to grow up in an environment that encouraged togetherness, family, health, wellness, and the dream that anything is possible. So this was wins all over the place, and my kids still look back on that time with really fond memories. They loved it. All the other kids that used to come there used to think that that was their house, that they lived there. And they would come to hang out with Phoenix and Santos because they thought that this is their house. And instead of it being like, oh, my mom's going to go work out, I'm going to go hang out with Phoenix and Santos. And so it just was the biggest win I ever could have possibly imagined for so many reasons. And this wouldn't have been possible if I didn't believe in it, if I didn't keep going. Sure, there were times when it was hard and I had to figure stuff out. But I just kept going, and I just made it up a lot as I went. And then when something didn't work, I changed it. And that lasted for 10 years. It lasted the whole time that I needed it to for my children when they were little and they weren't in school and they needed me to be with them and I needed to be with them. It was amazing. And it was something that came from an idea in my head, a feeling in my heart. And it was just something that I created out of my brain. There was no how to. I just created it in my brain and made it happen because I believed in myself. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know what the next step is, but I'm going to do something, and then I'm going to assess it, and then I'm going to keep moving forward. Ladies, I just wanted to share a couple of stories from my life of how I've always created something out of nothing because I believe in myself and I just keep going. Because I really honestly believe if you can think it in your brain, then you can create it in the real world, 100%. If it wasn't possible, it wouldn't even be a thought in your brain. Just remember that. Just believe in yourself, no matter what. You don't need to know the how. You just need to know the next little step, and the how will reveal itself. Most people don't even, I was going to say most people stop because they don't know how. Most people don't even start because they don't know how. That's the mistake. That's the difference between successful people, dreamers, and just the average person living an average life. And that's not us. We're in midlife. We are ready to rip it up. Let's go. Let's do this. You have an idea? You don't know the first step? Let's make it up. And let's just the next step and the next step and the next step. Here's the truth. The gap between where you are and where you want to be, it isn't filled with magic or luck. It's filled with you showing up every single day, even when it feels hard, even when it feels impossible, even when it feels like nothing is happening, even when you don't know what you're doing. You keep showing up. Even when you don't want to show up, you keep showing up. Big dreams don't come to life overnight, but they do come to life when you trust yourself, when you stay consistent, and when you keep putting one beautiful foot in front of the other. Whatever it is you're dreaming of, your health, your happiness, your purpose, it's already waiting for you. All you have to do is believe, invite it in, keep going, and never stop showing up for yourself. The life you dream isn't built in a day. It's built in the moments you choose to believe in yourself, even when it feels impossible. Please just keep showing up for yourself, because you are the magic that will make this happen. You've got this, my friend. And until next time, go out there and create something extraordinary, one beautiful, consistent step at a time. Thank you for listening. Always love your fierce, beautiful self first, and have an amazing day.